Good evening and welcome from 106.3 Star FM Stadium here in Townsville, where tonight two big games, the ladies and the men's. The first of those, the ladies, with the Townsville Flames taking on the Brisbane Spartans. I'm Tony Parsons. Joining me in commentary this evening is Mark Roble. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Tony. Nice to have you up here.
Well, it's been a fair hiatus, I've got to say. It's got to be about 8 years since I've done this, but never on the screen. It's always been, behind the blanket of a microphone, behind a radio.
It's like riding a bike, mate. I'm sure that everything will be fine.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, focal point is a side that's around 50% in the Spartans, and you've got an undefeated Flames. What are the Flames got to do? Who are the focal point as far as the Spartans are concerned that the Flame need to look after?
Look, I think for the Flames, I spoke with Coach St. Maurice earlier today, and look, he certainly won't be trying to change too much of his recipe that he's had throughout the season. It's been successful. They'll play up tempo. They'll try and disrupt in the open floor. He'll obviously trying to have to watch this game a little bit as we go through, because the two imports for Southern Districts, both very new into the team. So probably only got his first look at Anderson last night. And he would have watched the live stream from Cairns, and he's conscious of making sure he knows what he's got to do there. He did mention to me, though, that he really wants to make sure that they do a good job on Jess McDowell-White, their point guard. He believes that she steers their ship really well for him, and they need to make sure they take care of her.
Okay, now backing up after a 3-game road trip last week, rest has been the recipe this week, I hear? Yeah,
look, early in the week, I don't think they really hit the court until Thursday. They gave them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off effectively just to get their legs back. Hit the court on Thursday and then had another little light session last night. Prepared for the night while the Spartans girls were running around up in Cairns, getting another win over Cairns last night.
So that's an ideal scenario, I suppose, in that regard, as far as Townsville is concerned, that these girls are backing up after last night, the girls from Brisbane?
Yeah, look, it's always tough too, It's flying to Cairns or flying to Townsville, whichever way you do this road trip. You jump in a bus early morning that next day, spend 4.5, 5 hours in a bus, check into a motel. You don't get a lot of time to settle in. Undefeated throughout the season last season, and worthy champions last year. When I spoke with her, she's just really looking forward to seeing how the group works together tonight. This is their first big test since they've had the imports come in. With the Cairns game last night, she probably thought they overworked and overpassed the ball a bit. So she's hoping for them to be a bit more decisive tonight.
Okay, you want to run through the starting lineups for us?
So the starters for districts, we've got Haynes, Taya, Parham, Anderson and Bauer. And for the Flames, a fairly familiar outfit to our viewers with Cox, Goodchild, Andrews, Brennan and Garvin.
So a little bit of WNBL experience too in this Flames lineup, isn't there, with Cox and Garvin?
Yeah, there is. So those two, obviously have been leading players for the Fire over a number of years now. They'll look to try and steer this thing around, but Bauer, the centre for districts, is an interesting one. She's just come off the back of the French season in this league.
Okay, underweight. First possession, and Bauer does have it for Spartans. Bauer at the top of the key, hands off. And the long pass goes to Taya and misses with the shot, but gets her own rebound. Inside they go to Bauer. Bauer off the glass, and first points of the game with Southern Districts from that first possession.
Districts play up-tempo game as much as they can tonight.
And inside they go, and their first points of the night.
So Mila Goodchild coming back off injury last week, only played 2 of the 3 games after hurting herself here at the last home game. That's a really positive start for her.
Noticing a focal point for Bauer early on, or as the first foul of the night, but you mentioned Bauer being a focal point as far as districts are concerned, and she's been the go-to early on.
Yeah, look, I think most teams, when they come up against the Flames, they're probably going to try and throw it to whoever Garvin's defending at the start of the game as well, try and attack her, see if they go.
Yep, work her over a little bit. Bauer with the inbound pass, and off the window it goes from Parham. So it's 4-2 early. We've had just over a minute of play. Andrews with possession for the Flames. Brennan. Work to Cox on the left. Back to the top. And this is Inside they go. Cox with possession.
Low shot clock. Cox having to force that one there. Not an ideal offence for the Flames. And
seemed a bit stuttery.
Yeah, look, it was probably a new structure I haven't seen from them early in the season as well.
And Bauer gets away from Garvin, and she nails a shot from the foul line. So it's 6-2. Quickly down the floor in transition go Townsville. Goodchild with a prayer. Gets her own rebound. Can't put it away. Gets her own rebound again. It gets wrestled away from her. And Districts with possession through Parham.
A little nervous start here for Townsville. Nothing we've seen at home this year. Their first quarters have been pretty dynamic, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond to you.
And there's another 2 points there from Bauer. Quickly down the floor through Andrews. Off the glass again, and it's batted away by Townsville. Garvin didn't get the rebound, and it'll be a ball in from the baseline for the visitors.
Just a little rushed by Andrews there. I think she second-guessed herself as to whether to pass, go for that layup, and just caught it a bit short.
This time Bauer puts it mate under pressure, and heads up play there from Haynes onto the body of Andrews, Brennan, and they'll get the inbound from the baseline.
Beck Haynes is one of those players that seems to have been playing in the QBL for decades. Super experienced player, and normally wherever she plays, they're fairly experienced. Like, their team does pretty well. She's a very settling influence on a team.
Bauer's inbound. Here's Parham again from deep. That one misses. Rebound is with the Flames, and Michaela Cox down the floor in transition. Goes to take them on and draws the foul on Taya.
So baseline ball here. You'd think the Flames really probably want to convert this possession, being down 6 already. As I said, very unfamiliar for them right now, at home particularly.
Cox inside to Garvin. She got away and did a good job to get away from Bauer. And the shot had a bit too, another 2 away.
Very good start to the game for Bauer. That takes her to 8 points, I think, already. So the Flames might need to make an adjustment to that matchup.
Is it too early for a timeout?
Look, I think St. Maurice will trust his horses. We might see a substitution or something coming soon, just to try and throw the rhythm off of the Spartans.
So here's McCox going baseline, pulls up, and it's off the side of the backboard. Quickly down the floor is Parham, and there's a miss. But she got the offensive rebound and put it away. And there is that timeout.
Yeah, look, it's 12-2, down 10. As we said, the Flames have been dynamic at home early in the season, and particularly their first quarters have been outstanding. So a little bit of nervousness maybe coming up against the defending champs. There's been some little soft attempts at the rim. Credit to Districts. They've done a great job in forcing hard contested shots on the defensive end, and they just haven't given up O-board opportunities, which the Flames have also lived on early in the year.
It's interesting that you touched on that. There's a side that should be chock full of confidence after what's happened in the last couple of weeks, and you're hinting that they're a little bit nervous up against the defending champs.
Oh, look, I think any time you're playing a team that's got that championship credential, you're always on edge that little bit more, and there's always the risk that you might self-doubt a little bit. Different preparation week, as we talked about earlier, for the Flames, so whether that rhythm of not training earlier in the week might have just thrown them out a little bit, but I'm sure they'll come out and settle. And we see substitution here for the Flames with Ainsley Walsh coming in for Hayley Andrews, and Districts coming out with the same group, not surprisingly.
So it's 12-2, 6:46 left in the first term, and Michaela Cox will bring it down the floor for the Flames. There's Goodchild, back to Cox. Cox drives baseline, pops it inside to Garvin, but it's copped a couple of fingertips and hands on the way through, and they turn it over. Townsville.
Smart play from Districts coming out of that timeout in the zone, obviously to negate whatever Coach St. Maurice was drawing up that he wanted to execute.
And here's Taya at the top of the key. Now she goes to Parham, who was a little off balance when putting that shot up.
Anderson,
Anderson. But she was off balance. She was left-handed shot on the right foot.
Better defensive possession there from the Flames, so hopefully they can they can pick that up. You see Districts still staying in the zone for this next possession as well.
And they turn it over again, Townsville. Some hands in there from Bauer, and then the foul given away by Brennan. She's been really the difference at the moment in this first term, isn't it?
Yeah, look, cheap frustration foul, and we see Districts make their first substitution for the night, and we see Jess McDowell-White come in for Anderson, and she'll take over the point guard duties straight away.
As she does bring the ball down the floor. Is Parham. Top of the key again is Bauer. Haynes driving, a little bit too easy, wasn't it, down the lane?
Yeah, look, the containment.
And then the turnover on the inbound pass as well. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, containment wasn't very good there by Walsh, and just no help coming over there, and just compounded the error by the turnover. Yeah, look, in this fluid, high-powered offense that the Flames have had so far, really struggling with this district's defence right now.
Here's Michaela Cox trying to go inside. Brennan from deep, and it's an air ball from Walsh. Yep, but they get it back.
No shot clock reset,
and then it run out.
So poor recognition from Goodchild there that it was an air ball and didn't quite get a hand to it. And we see another change, another two changes for the Flames, coming in for the Flames for her first stint.
The Spartans with possession. Parham, Bauer, McDowell-White.
We see the Flames drop back into a zone now as well.
From deep, Haynes for three. But they get their own rebounds from McDowell-White. And almost a travel there, one would think. And it's exactly what's called.
And as she stepped on the floor, we want to give a special shout out to Alex Fowler. She's had a massive week this week, coming off the back of the Sapphires camp last week. She's punched her ticket to join the under-17 Australian team off to Belarus for the World Cup. And then also a little bit later in the week got announced in a Australia 3x3 team to compete in the Youth Olympics in Argentina later in the year.
Here's Cox for three. Rebound is with Spartans through McDowell-White. Hands it off to Taya. Three more first term.
And look, the 19 will be a bit concerning to Coach St. Maurice, but the 2 is obviously the highest concern for them right now. They just haven't been able to find anything consistent to get at the hoop.
And down the floor, inside they go to Bauer. Bauer backing in on Cox, over the top of Cox. A bit heavy with the shot. Rebound ultimately comes down to Townsville, and then she's fouled.
First involvement, first touch for Beck, gets a good rebound there, and Southern Districts just couldn't help getting their hands in, trying to get another piece out of that and force another turnover. So Districts, not surprisingly, sticking with this zone.
What works, you might as well stick to for a little while, don't you? Cox, baseline. Here's Garbin in traffic. Deep in the corner,
Finds
for
back
three.
in the corner, and her first shot is a made three, so much needed for the Flames.
So now it's a 14-point game. Here's McDowell-White.
Good reversal through the high post. Open shot, but Flames fortunately get the rebound on that one.
On that missed Bauer shot. Now here's Michaela Cox quickly down the floor in transition. Beck goes off to Garbin. Garbin down the lane and missed again what she should have made. And they're costly. They're hurting them at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's hasn't been the strongest start by Garbin, and Districts again ram it back down the other way, find a cutter at the hoop, and Haynes makes it and will go to the line for the extra shot.
So 21-5. And 8 points for Bauer in this first term as Haynes at the line converts, and now she has
Substitution coming in, Haynes getting a break now, and Curvin coming in for her first minutes.
And Preston's also out there on the floor for Southern Districts. As Garvin has it.
Finds Fowler on the roll. Cox picked that up off the hard hedge, moved it on quickly, and then found the roller in Fowler.
And then forced the turnover, but then in turnover, turned it back over. Cheaply, ultimately, after they worked hard to get possession.
McDowell wide open for three.
Taya with the rebound, and she puts it away for two, 24-7.
Taya's been super impressive in the early minutes of this game. Her intensity getting after the ball and getting some rebounds.
Here's Michaela Cox with two for Townsville. Well, she has seven, Taya, just behind Bauer, who was the focal point early, obviously, but it's not just Bauer now, is it? They've got some good spread on points in the first term.
Misses that one, and Townsville on the break now, trying to trim this lead.
Cox. And they turn it over, Townsville. And they've a couple of substitutions coming in for Southern Districts. Anderson comes in, and back into the game also was Parham, and Hayley Andrews back in for the Flames.
Trying to disrupt and throw some balance out for the Districts team. And lucky to get away with a backcourt violation there. It was the shot clock was down to about 15.
Here's Parham from three-point land. They get another one. And it was a wide open 3-2, Mark.
Yeah, look, they just struggled dropping back out of that press into the zone. Just missed their account a little bit. And
there's a charge foul, or is
illegal screen called on Fowler there.
So an offensive foul. So things just not going to plan in this first term for Townsville.
And referee Dover just giving the Townsville bench a warning there. Coach St. Marie thought it was a little bit
aggressive,
a little bit aggressive and over the top. So Michael will have to be on his best behaviour for a little while.
Yep. Interesting to see how long that lasts, as in the time frame, how good you got to be before you get into strife again. Parham, Garvin and Cox will play big minutes tonight.
Last shot here for the Flames, so they slow down. There's about a 6-second differential between the game and shot clocks.
And off the ball, it'll be a Townsville ball. Foul called on Curvin.
Yeah, just checking Garvin as she tried to make that cut through the keyway.
So it should now be the last shot for Townsville, given... Yeah.
Imagine we'll see Cox possibly involved off an on-ball here to finish off the quarter.
Andrews, Cox for three, and gets it.
Much needed three.
And half-court shot is wide of the mark, so at quarter time, 27-12 in a quarter that's been dominated, one would think, by District Spartans.
Yeah, look, Tony, surprising me a little bit as to what this margin is right now. Look, I think the Flames have enough tools, obviously, to work back into this, but what Southern Districts has done really well right now is stop the Flames running game. Every single defensive board the Flames have got, they're sending 1, 2, 3 players to jam that rebounder straight away, which is just delaying that outlet pass. Without that outlet pass and the ability for them to get off to the races, the Flames have just looked a little bit stagnant, particularly against that zone in the half court.
Well, Michaela Cox is the leading scorer for the Flames in that first term. She has 5 on 2 of 5 shooting, and she has got that 1 of 3 from deep, but it's interesting that Darcy Garvin is 0 of 3. In fact, they're 5 of 13. And there's a good spread there. You've got Bauer with 8, and then you've got Taya and Parham both with 7 and Haynes with 5 to make up part of their 27. But they're shooting at 57% and 76 at 10 of 13 inside and 2 of 8 from outside.
But imagine we'll see the Flames, particularly offensively more than anything, they've struggled, and then that's allowed Districts to get on a run and go and get some easy scores in transition at times. So the Flames really need to pick up their offense. And one thing that I'm sure Coach St. Maurice will be reinforcing is, they're 5 of 13 from the field, but they've only got 1 offensive board so far. So he'll be, I would imagine, trying to send a bit more aggression on the boards to try and slow down Districts and possibly get some second chance opportunities. Hopefully get a few of those, get them find some kick-out shooters and try and make some shots to try and trim this lead. Tied game, but just get it back to something touchable by half-time.
Not only no offensive rebounds or limited offensive rebounds, but 6 turnovers in that first term as well. Don't help against one.
Yeah, so some big adjustments to be made here, but see the Spartans have come out in a man set now, so...
Good child, Garvin baseline. Got a height advantage, and the good helps defence there from Parham.
Yeah, look, saw the oversized Garvin going to work and came over in time to jump perfectly for the block.
So Parham, now McDowell White, back outside, Haynes. And McDowell White shoots the 2, and they've just taken back up from where they left off at the end of term 1.
Really strong movement of the ball against that 3-2 zone then, and then just found the wide open mid-range shot for Jess McDowell White.
Good shot. Garvin inside to Fowler. Fowler goes back, and Goodchild with the left-handed shot doesn't drop, and then Southern Districts are quickly down the floor in transition. Anderson, they go baseline to Haynes. Anderson, cross-court Taya, inside they go, and another 2, this time to Emily Preston.
Yeah, look, the zone slowed Districts down for a little while, but they're just getting some wide open shots at the moment, so you'd have to think Townsville will be coming out of that some stage.
Here's Michaela Cox, and that's again offline. And Parham, who's done a stellar job so far.
Yeah, she's been outstanding. She's just been really active all over the place. She's super quick and just long arms and gets after loose balls everywhere, and that's been her trademark over many years in the QBL.
And Darcy Garvin gets the spell, and in for her is Lisa Brennan. Some good hands in there from Stella Beck, forcing the ball to go out of court. Inside, they go straight up to Preston. Anderson to Parham. Parham. Fowler didn't do too bad a job there. She's still got a good shot away. At it, then took it, and there's another rebound for Parham.
They just can't make a consistent connection at the moment, the Flames. So Spartans find Jess McDowell wide open, but then come up with another offensive board.
And Anderson with the shot.
So this thing's really getting away from the Flames right now, and we might see another timeout very shortly, you would imagine.
At 22, one would think so, as some hands in there from Parham.
So again, looks like we're just going to try and swing this thing with some subs, and Walsh coming in for Beck here.
And Bow back. Back in for
Preston,
Southern
I think it was.
for Southern Districts. There's Townsville with possession. Cox pulls up for 2, misses it. Haynes with the rebound, and here's Bow straight into the fray. Work the ball over half court. Inside they go. McDowell White back to Parham. Inside to Anderson, backing in on a smaller defender, and
Good child, just muscling up and getting a good open shot there.
is Michaela Cox trying to eat into this 24-point deficit, and they turn it over again. Townsville down. Anderson got the height advantage and almost turned it over. Bauer inside, Haynes off the window, 2 more, and it's now 26-point lead to Southern Districts, 38. And Brennan now with possession for Townsville. Cox puts it on the floor and draws the foul from McDowell White. And now a substitution as Garvin comes back in, and Fowler will sit down. She gets her mandatory couple of minutes spell.
I think that's a telling thing, that foul there. That's only the Spartans' 5th foul for the game.
Tricks down the floor. Anderson almost turned it over. Did well to get possession to McDowell White. Bauer.
Switch that high ball screen, and Bauer's now got Brennan, the undersized Brennan. Finds out. And this hole's just getting... Well, look, I think they've tried a couple of defensive schemes, and that hasn't quite worked for them right now. You've got to try, and I think what Southern Districts have done, have got the game at their pace right now. So they're executing far better in the half court. They're defending far better at the half court. The Flames have got to try and do something to speed this game right up right now. So whether it be some junky D a little bit. More to press back into a more aggressive zone, or some half-court traps into something. Take some risk and maybe start getting after trapping the on-balls. So she's really got these Spartans girls drilled at the moment.
And Anderson with the bonus. And it's 41-12. And she now comes out of the game, and back in is Taya. Ashley Taya for Southern Districts. Out of that timeout though. Townsville with possession. Michaela Cox is under a lot of pressure. And there's some hands in there from behind by Bauer.
Districts in a zone again out of the timeout. So obviously that's a ploy that Lewis is using just to try and negate the opposition coach's timeout.
Ashley Walsh turns it over. Here they are down the floor again, Southern Districts. And Parham, who's been super impressive, puts another two away, and it's 43-12. I don't think anyone in their right mind would have predicted a first half like this one. Here's Michaela Cox, Brennan. Now Michaela Cox deep in the corner for three, needed. They get the rebound though, Townsville. Michaela Cox again, Garvin, Brennan, Cox takes on the bigger body and Bauer, hands it off to Garvin, who gets fouled as she's shooting, so she'll go to the line for two.
From Townsville there, they actually made the ball get over the split line a couple of times, made Southern Districts have to react a little bit, which is something they probably haven't done great so far. They've got caught on one side of the floor and haven't really, made D rotate for the opposition team. So maybe that's the instruction that came out of that Flames timeout.
Garvin misses the first of two and gets the second one. 30-point game, 5:07 left, second term, in favour of Southern Districts, 43-13. Now she puts it on the floor, goes to the baseline to Haynes, who puts it away for two more.
Just late and flat help by Brennan there, just left her player wide open. Flames have got to be a little bit more aggressive with their help perhaps, and that way it gives them time to react.
Cox in the corner. And here's Brennan. And the shot for three. From Cox doesn't go, and Parham with another rebound. And bow down the floor, and back come the Spartans with that 32-point lead, 45-13, with 4:10 left in the, or 4:15 left in the second term. Taya for three, gets another one. Got a good screen too on that, 48-13.
Yeah, Flames just didn't quite switch aggressively enough there, and Taya left wide open and made Townsville pay yet again.
Now Walsh goes to Brennan. Deep in the left corner was Cox. Brennan inside to Garvin, and off the window she gets two. That's better.
Yeah, nice little ball fake on the shot, just made the D jump a little bit, so they need to continue to try and explore inside right now because the outside shots certainly aren't dropping.
Taya with possession goes to McDowell-White. McDowell-White, back baseline it goes to Haynes, who gets fouled on the shot.